What's the Death Star move? How do we respond to that Death Star imminent existential risk? And the answer is we need a direct hit. And that direct hit is unique self. What is unique self? Unique self is not a declaration. It's not a claim. It is the best realization about the nature of the human being. The answer to the greatest question we can ever ask: who are you? It's madly wonderful to be with you. I'm just personally insanely privileged to be here with you. I'm so excited and so trembling, right? And so delighted and so filled with possibility and filled with also sometimes foreboding. It matters. There's ecstatic urgency to what we do. And let's do it with the greatest of joy and the greatest of audacity. So David, give us the code, brother.
So it's very short. So I'll say it twice. I'll resonate it twice. This week's evolutionary love code. The question is the meta crisis. The answer is unique self and unique self symphony. The question is the meta crisis. The answer is unique self and unique self symphony. It's my pleasure to turn the word back to you, Dr. Mark.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. Gorgeous, right? Right, gorgeous, right? David's gorgeous, and the code is simple, right? The code is simple and straight. The question is the meta crisis. The answer is unique self and unique self symphony. That's what we're going to talk about today. But first, let's practice. And practice is, right, we open up a new eye, right? The eye of value, which was the essential eye for all the most subtle and speculative minds, pre-modern, modern, and postmodern. So let's go for a second to India, to Kashmir Shaivism, right, the depths of Hinduism, and we turn to She, right, to the Eros, to Devi, the Eros that animates cosmos, right, the Eros which is the Eros of value itself. And I'm going to ask just gently, gently, tenderly, right, as the chant comes on, don't use it for a moment to text someone, to get something done, to be productive. Let's step in together. So take us inside, right, to Debbie. And let's just hold that. Let's hold it gently. And let it breathe you. And you breathe it. And let's bring the East together with the interior sciences of the West. And we'll do just one more chant. Mizmor Shir. Right? Mizmor Shir. And we'll just kind of feel it. And Mizmor Shir is we sing not to the goddess who is the force of cosmos, but in Mizmor Shir, we sing to the face of She, the face of Eros, which is infinitely personal and intimate, that knows my name, that dances in the holy and broken hallelujahs of my life. So there's the She, the goddess that suffuses the East, the Shakti Eros, that aggregates reality, the evolutionary impulse. And then there's her appearance in the West, She, in which she's Shakti, but also infinitely and intimately personal. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat. It's good to be together in the depth of Sabbath. Tov l'hodot l'Adonai u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon. It's good to love each other, to speak of your love in the morning, and to trust you through the nights. So it goes like this. I'm just going to chant it for you with your permission. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat. It's good to sing with thee, with we, and wherever you are, right? Welcome, join. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat. It's good to sing with thee, with we. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. To speak of your love in the morning, and to trust you through the night. To speak of your love in the morning, and to trust you through the night. Welcome, O Mizmor Shir, Leyom HaShabbat. So good to be with thee, with we. Mizmor Shir, Leyom HaShabbat. Let's open all the gates. טוב להודות לאדוני, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. To speak of your love in the morning, and to trust you through the night. To speak of your love in the morning, and to trust you through the night. To speak of your love in the morning, and to trust you through the night. To speak of your love in the morning, and to trust you through the night. So welcome again, everyone. And it's absolutely essential in this podcast, in this One Mountain, Many Paths, that we don't just access the eye of the mind, right? Reason, conversation, right? My colleague, Sam Harris, right, does a podcast, which is pure mind, reason. But reason gets lost. Reason confuses. You actually have to access first the silence. And the silence not as a materialist construct of cosmos that gives you a certain experience, but actually to understand that the silence speaks, and the song speaks, and the chant speaks, and it opens up the eye of value, and value is, my dear friend Sam, intrinsic, innate. It's evolving, right? It's not preordained, but value is an innate structure of cosmos. Cosmos generates value that's intrinsic. And one of the values of cosmos is personhood. Personhood. That actually, the cosmos is both third person, the flow of the four forces, all animated by Eros. And cosmos is first person. I can actually feel, right, in my first person a sense of my own consciousness. That's what consciousness means, is it's the feeling of me, which is not reducible to mechanical structures. But cosmos is also second person, which is the infinity of personhood, right? The infinity of intimacy. It's my I-ness yearning to know your you-ness. It's I and thou, right? It's the knowing that if my inner heart and all of its unique beauty doesn't speak to your inner heart and all of its unique beauty, life is drab and empty and ultimately meaningless. So that knowing of personhood is itself a first value and a first principle of cosmos. And that personhood lives not only between I and thee, you and me, right? Between he and she, between the I and the we, between different we's, but that personhood is a quality of cosmos itself. Cosmos is both impersonal in the sense that it's beyond personalities, right? It's the supernovas in all of their cascading, immense gorgeousness. And cosmos, the process is personal, but it's the personal beyond the impersonal. It's the personal that invests and animates the impersonal. It's not just intimacy as a human construction. It's the intrinsic value of intimacy located in the intimate universe, sourced in the infinity of intimacy. And that's the chant: to speak of your love in the morning and to trust you through the night, right? We turn to the infinity of intimacy that knows our name, and we dance and we hold hands and we impress our lips on infinity, and we feel the press of infinity's lips on our bodies, hearts, and minds. To speak of your love in the morning and to trust you through the night. Now, today in our code, we're going to be unpacking exactly this notion. And we're about to launch, Claire Molinaire is directing, brilliantly and initiating together with myself and the board of the center, a Unique Self Institute, to give the unique self teaching that's so central to Cosmo-erotic humanism, to the new story, to give it its rightful place and to bring it into the world, right? To download it into the source code of culture. And many people have been asking us in the last years, we've all encountered the question in different ways, right? Is there a kind of elevator pitch, if you will, on Unique Self? Now, as y'all might know, I think it's someplace here, there's more than an elevator pitch, right? There's a book right on Unique Self. So I just completely welcome everyone to pick that up if you're up for it. And if you want a short version, right, there's a shorter version called Self, which is a shorter version. So those are the non-elevator. Those are kind of the deep dive versions. And I just invite everyone, if you can, and maybe it'll find its way in the chat box. I invite everyone to really, really spend the time, with these two Unique Self books. They actually make a difference, right? But that's not today. Today, let's see if we can, without losing its depth, without losing its beauty, without losing its accuracy, right? Can we kind of, and there's been so many people asking this question in the last 2 years that I wanted to, with permission from everyone, dedicate, today's One Mountain to trying to kind of clearly state, right, the essence of Unique Self, just in a few minutes. And I'm going to try and do it 2 or 3 times, right? So we're going to do kind of take 1 and take 2 and take 3 till we kind of get this deep sense of what is this notion of Unique Self, right, that actually lies at the very center of cosmos itself. Okay. So we're going to try, and you got to help me here, okay? Because I've never tried to do this before, to try and kind of, encapsulate it this way. So are we ready to go? Here we go. So do we have a drum roll? Do we have a drum roll around the world? Can we have a drum roll? Okay, drum roll. Drum roll. And I have to say, just I can share with you, just to be a little vulnerable, I'm a little nervous about trying to encapsulate it. I don't generally believe in short encapsulations, but there's such a demand for it. I want to really try and see if we can do it without losing the integrity and the depth. Okay, so here we go. So the question is the meta crisis, and the answer is Unique Self and Unique Self Symphony. What's the meta crisis? Simple image. Let's take the Death Star, right? In that cinematic classic of the late 20th, early 21st century Star Wars. The Death Star is a battleship armed with existential risk. It has the ability to not just attack, but to destroy a planet. That's existential risk. The forces of good don't have the capacity to engage the Death Star. And the Death Star is culture. It's a culture of death that leads to existential risk. There's a realization in the cinematic version, which is not about what the writers were thinking. It's culture speaking through this epic story. There's this realization that the only way to take out the Death Star is with a direct hit that gets through all of the defenses and actually explodes culture into a new possibility. That's the direct hit. Now, when we talk about the Death Star, we're talking about what we call the second shock of existence, right? The first shock of existence is the death of the human being, the realization that the human being will die, which dawns at the beginning of history. And that realization of the death of the human being, and although death is a portal between 2 days, death is also a stark end, right? Our experience is death ends this life, and all the stories and all the plot lines and all the threads of living, right, end at that particular moment. What happens beyond is a different conversation. There's a continuity of consciousness, but we have an actual experience of ending. And that ending and the experience of the finality of mortality actually is what presses us into life. That's the first shock of existence, the realization of the death of the human being. But there's a second shock of existence, meaning after we go through all the stages of matter and life and mind, all the stages of human history, we've come to this place in which the gap between our exterior technologies and their exponential forms and the paucity and dearth and collapse of our interior technologies of value have created extraction models and exponential growth curves and tragedies of the commons and multipolar traps in which everyone has to keep producing to the nth degree, even weaponized exponential threats to our very existence because we're afraid that the other person's going to do it and not be transparent and hide it from us, right? So all of these structures, right, have created this essential collapse of systems that are literally on the brink, right, of manifesting themselves. And that's the second shock of existence. So the second shock of existence is not the death of the human being. The second shock of existence is the potential death of humanity. What's the Death Star move? How do we respond to that Death Star imminent existential risk? And the answer is we need a direct hit. And that direct hit is unique self. What is unique self? Unique self is not a declaration. It's not a claim. It is the best realization about the nature of the human being, the answer to the greatest question we can ever ask. Who are you? Who are you? And what's there to do? And where are you? Right? That's the great question, right? It's a who question. Who are you? And then there's who are we? But that question, those are the narratives of identity, are rooted in a larger question, which is where are we? Right? What's our universe story? And then what's there to do? Right? What's there to do with our power? What's there to do with our desire? And all of those questions are answered by unique self. And again, unique self is not a fanciful conjecture. Unique self is the result of decades of work that we've done integrating in a form of second simplicity, meaning not simple, complex, second simplicity, integrating in the form of second simplicity the best leading edge insights and understanding, validated understandings of the exterior and interior sciences and the entire pre-modern, modern, and postmodern period woven together in a new universe story, a new understanding of identity that we're calling unique self. Unique self and then unique self symphony. And that is the direct hit. That is what actually takes down the culture of death. That is to say, both, as we'll see, the second shock of existence, existential risk, and even responds to the first shock of existence at our own individual death. So what do we mean by unique self? Unique self answers the question of who are you? Unique self symphony answers the question of who are we? So let's see if we can state it clearly. Who are you? You are an irreducibly unique expression, meaning this is not your separate self. You're an irreducibly unique expression of the larger field. You're an irreducibly unique expression of the larger field of the love intelligence, love beauty, and love desire. That is the initiating and animating eros of all that is. So I want to get that sentence with you again. Who are you? You're a unique self. Your unique self is the irreducibly unique expression of the love intelligence, love beauty, and love eros. That is the initiating and animating eros and energy of all that is. That lives uniquely in you, as you, and through you. That never was, is, or will be in anyone, past, present, and future. And as a unique self, you have an irreducibly unique perspective. You incarnate an irreducibly unique quality of intimacy. You're a unique configuration of desire. You're a unique expression of power. And all of those come together to form your unique gift. And your unique gift is both your unique quality of being in the world, interacting, interfacing, interactivating with reality, right? You're interbeing with reality. And your unique gift is the unique gift that you have to give. The unique gift is that which answers a unique need that can be addressed by you and you alone in your unique circle of intimacy and influence. And when you are addressing that unique need in your unique circle of intimacy and influence, you're actually responding to reality. That's your unique responsibility. That's your unique obligation, but obligation and love in the original Semitic languages are the same word. It's the unique expression of your love intelligence that can be done by no one that ever was, is, or will be other than you. And when you're committing your unique, outrageous act of love, which is your deepest heart's desire, which emerges from your unique configuration of desire, you're giving your unique gift. That's what it means to play your unique instrument in the Unique Self Symphony. And the Unique Self Symphony is not a top-down command and control structure. Rather, the Unique Self Symphony is the emergent of intimacy, of evolutionary intimacy, which is the natural product of the self-organizing universe, the self-actualizing cosmos. The universe self-organizes to greater and greater levels of intimacy because evolution is the progressive deepening of intimacies. And whenever there's a crisis, we're facing a meta crisis, the crisis is always a crisis of intimacy. The crisis of intimacy, right? The crisis of intimacy is responded to by a new configuration of intimacy. And the new configuration of intimacy in this generation, at this moment of meta crisis, is Unique Self Symphony. Unique Self Symphony is not top down. It's not command and control. It rather is the human being self-organizing to their highest self, to their deepest self, to their most wondrous and beautiful self, which is their unique self. In other words, uniqueness is like the pheromones in an ant colony, which self-organize the ant colony, like the exchange of intelligence between bees. And we know that beehives scientifically are wildly organized, allured, and uniquely emergent in wonderful expressions of intelligence. So how does that work on the human level? Ants, bees are not human beings. Human beings are, right, on the evolutionary chain, conscious expressions of evolution. And what drives us? What guides us? What's our North Star? What's our compass of joy? So our compass of joy is our unique self. It's the unique set of allurements that call me forward to give my unique gift. It's the unique configuration of desire, but not surface desire, not pseudo desire, not lowest common denominator desire, manipulated by the internet, right? Whose goals are bottom lines of profit and control, but actually my deepest heart's desire, my clarified desire, which gives my unique gift, which allows me to play my instrument in the Unique Self Symphony. And sometimes we play together. Sometimes 10 of us or 20 of us or 30 or a whole division or a whole people are playing different strands on the same unique self instrument. And that unique self instrument gives a unique gift, right, into society. So I, human being, who am I? I'm a unique self. And I have an instrument to play in the Unique Self Symphony. And I am needed by all that is. That's the realization of unique self. The realization of unique self is to speak of your love in the morning and to trust you through the nights, right? Unique self implies personhood. And personhood means there's a personal relationship. Reality intended me. Wow. That's what uniqueness tells me. Uniqueness tells me, oh, I'm unique. I'm not generic. I'm irreducibly unique. Reality intended me. Reality chose me. Reality recognizes me. Reality love adores me. Reality desires me. Reality needs me. And reality needs my own growth, my own transformation. Because it's only my transformation from a separate self to a true self. True self means I'm part of the field. To a unique self, a unique expression of the field. To an evolutionary unique self, right? A unique self in an evolutionary context who feels the evolutionary impulse pulsing in him, pulsing in her, knowing that that evolutionary impulse has a personal face, and that personal face is my unique self. And that's why I joined the Unique Self Symphony. Unique Self Symphony is made up of evolutionary unique selves, right? Acting as unique expressions of the love intelligence all over the world. And that's a new vision. That's what I was delighted to call with my dear friend Barbara Marx Hubbard and Zachary Stein, right? A planetary awakening in love through Unique Self Symphonies. Wow. Wow. So let's hold that for a second. Let's hold that for a second. Can we feel that? And that's unique self. The meta crisis, the Death Star. The response to the meta crisis is actually unique self and Unique Self Symphony. And it responds in two ways. It responds to the second shock of existence by actually activating all of reality as unique selves and Unique Self Symphonies. It's a bottom-up, self-organizing, self-actualizing expression of cosmos that's activating to a new structure of intimacy. It's not a corporation imposing. It's not a government imposing. And we need governments and we need corporations that have important roles. But at the very core, we need a new cultural enlightenment. We need a new emergent order. Only in a closed society, think China and the Communist Party of China, in a closed society can you have a top-down imposition. An open society needs to have an emergent order, a cultural enlightenment, which self-organizes based on simple first principles, right, towards a complex and beautiful society, which is the most beautiful world we know possible, the highest, most stunning emergent of the good, the true, the beautiful, of intimacy, of love, of eros. And so it's only Unique Self and Unique Self Symphony, which are the simple first rules. Again, that's what we've learned from complexity and chaos theory. Simple first rules generate, right, a complex and coherent system. But Unique Self responds also to the first shock of existence. Because when you understand that you're a unique self and you feel into your unique story, you can actually access in the depth of yourself the knowing that as you approach your death, it's not over. You actually know that you're in midlife. You know that there's all these threads that are still dangling. And you know you can feel in the depth of yourself, the depth of your interior experience, what we call anthro-ontology. Anthro, human, ontology, for real. That is, the mysteries are within us. We can access in our own interior experience something real, but the very nature of reality. So I actually access and realize in my own interior, I'm in mid-play. I remember when I was in our dear friend Barbara Marx Hubbard's hospital room. I had just spoken to her, that morning. The last words she said when we spoke to each other right before we were beginning in one mountain, and she lost consciousness, and I flew immediately to Colorado. And I was there at her hospital bed, and she passed away. She never recovered consciousness. But it was so clear, anthro-ontologically, that Barbara's unique self had it disappeared. And of course, there's an enormous amount of very careful philosophy to support this. There's an enormous amount of empirical evidence today to support the continuity of consciousness. But even deeper, there's the anthro-ontological knowing that the realization that I'm irreducibly unique. And when I get to the end of my life, I know that my story's not done. So it's unique self that actually tells me that we're ultimately going to also transcend the first shock of existence. That the story is not over. That it's continuing and in its next chapter and in its next unfolding. And everything we do in this world actually is the field of value which writes the script of the next part of our personal passion drama, which participates in the great passion drama of reality. Because here's what we understand, friends. Unique self is the principle of personhood. It's the innate and irreducible value of the personal. And the personal is always a story, right? And our story participates in the larger story of cosmos. And we perhaps say it like this. What we actually understand about reality, based on the interior and exterior sciences, is that reality is not merely a fact. Reality is a story. And reality is not an ordinary story. Reality is a love story. It's not a Pollyannish love story. It's the eros of cosmos. It's the eros that desires the progressive deepening of intimacies. Reality is not an ordinary love story. It's a love story. It's an outrageous love story. It's an evolutionary love story. It's the eros of cosmos. And we know that your story and my story and our story together, your story is chapter and verse in the larger text of the universe, a love story. Your evolution, right, is chapter and verse in evolution, the love story of the universe. Your amor is chapter and verse in the amorous cosmos. Your intimacy is chapter and verse in the intimate universe. Your story matters. It's not a story you move beyond. You move beyond your grasping, egoic surface story. Then you find the deeper outline, the plot line of your sacred autobiography. And you find that the plot line of your personal story, your sacred autobiography, is precisely identical with the plot lines of cosmos itself. In cosmos, a story, and stories have plot lines, and the plot lines of cosmos are simple. The movement from simplicity to complexity, that's the first plot line. The movement from simplicity to complexity. The second plot line, the movement towards more and more interconnectivity. The third plot line is the realization that the interior of interconnectivity is intimacy, and actually reality is moving towards deeper and wider configurations of intimacy. The fourth plot line, reality is moving towards ever more creativity. The fifth plot line, reality itself is moving towards ever more eros. But finally, the sixth plot line, which is the mechanism, the engine, the animating telerotic, telos and eros, the animating telerotic vector for everything, is reality is moving towards more and more uniqueness. Because more and more complexity means more and more uniqueness. More and more interconnectivity, the node of interface is always the unique node in a system. More and more intimacy is, right, ultimately we go from matter to life to mind, in which ultimately my unique self meets your unique self, and we look in each other's eyes and we see all of reality and we see irreducible uniqueness. Right? More and more creativity emerges from the matrix of my unique self. More and more love, because love is a unique self-perception. I look at you and I'm blown away by your infinite beauty. So the movement towards unique self is the vector of cosmos itself. All of cosmos moves towards the realization of unique self and unique self symphony. Wow.